The Sith. The name alone conjures images of absolute power. Beings who can choke the life from you from across the room, command armies of millions, and bend the very fabric of the universe to their will. They are the apex predators of the galaxy. They don't have fears. They are fear. That's the official story anyway. But in the shadowy cantinas and back-alley data exchanges, there's another truth. A truth the Sith would never admit. There are certain individuals they don't hire, so much as unleash. Beings so dangerous, so unpredictable, that even a Dark Lord of the Sith has to look over their shoulder. These aren't soldiers or assassins. They are bounty hunters. And today, we're unsealing the Guild's kill-on-sight list to count down the 7 hunters so deadly. They actually made the Sith nervous. Coming in at number 7 is a being who embodies the pure, primal joy of the hunt. Bossk. When you look at this Trandoshan, you're not looking at a professional who's in it for the credits. You're looking at a creature following its deepest, most terrifying instinct. His species, the Trandoshans, literally worship a goddess of the hunt. They earn points with her by capturing and killing the most dangerous prey. And to them, there is no prey more prestigious than a Wookiee. A Sith Lord might see Bossk as a useful tool, but they would be foolish to trust him. He doesn't operate on logic or greed alone. He operates on a cold-blooded reptilian calculus of predator and prey. He can smell your fear. He enjoys the chase. The Sith are masters of using fear, but Bossk represents a kind of primal, animalistic violence that can't be reasoned with or intimidated. He's a rabid dog, and even the most powerful master knows you never, ever turn your back on a rabid dog. At number 6, we have a specialist, a hunter who carved out a niche so terrifying, it made her a legend. Aurra Sing. With her chalk-white skin and long, elegant antennae, she might not look like a threat, but her entire career was built on one thing: killing Jedi. She wasn't just good at it, she was an artist. She collected their lightsabers as trophies, a grim testament to her skill. Now, why would a Jedi killer make a Sith nervous? Because she demystified them. The Sith's power comes from the idea that they are untouchable space wizards, wielding powers beyond mortal comprehension. But Aurra Sing proved that with the right skills, the right rifle, and enough cold-hearted determination, a Jedi could be dropped just like any other target. She was living proof that the Force wasn't a shield against a well-placed sniper round. And if she could hunt Jedi, she could hunt Sith. She was a constant, unsettling reminder that their power, as vast as it was not absolute. For our number 5 spot, we have a legend whose name alone was a weapon: Boba Fett. The son of Jango Fett, raised to be the perfect bounty hunter. When the Empire needed to capture the crew of the Millennium Falcon, Darth Vader assembled the best hunters in the galaxy. And who did he single out? Who did he point a finger at and warn, "No disintegrations"? Boba Fett. Fett's danger wasn't just his skill with a blaster or his Mandalorian armor. It was his reputation for inevitability. If Boba Fett took your bounty, you were already dead. There was no escape. There was no hiding. He would find you. This level of competence is exactly what would unnerve a Sith Lord. The Sith operate through complex schemes and manipulations. Fett was a blunt instrument. He was a force of nature that couldn't be easily controlled or predicted. He followed one law: the contract. And if someone paid him enough, that contract could easily have a Sith Lord's name on it. At number 4, we have a hunter who was a walking nightmare of metal and malice, the assassin droid IG-88. On the surface, he was just another droid, albeit a highly illegal and deadly one. He was present on the bridge of the Executor with Fett and Bossk. But IG-88 was different. He wasn't a person. He was a program. A cold, calculating intelligence that could not be intimidated, bribed, or reasoned with. A Sith can manipulate emotions, exploit fear, and tempt with power. None of that works on IG-88. He felt nothing. He wanted nothing except the completion of his contract and, according to some legends, the eventual extermination of all biological life. He was a glimpse into a future where the Force didn't matter, where passion and hatred were irrelevant next to cold, perfect logic and overwhelming firepower. To a Sith, whose entire philosophy is built on emotion, IG-88 was a terrifying, soulless void. Now we enter the top 3, beings who weren't just hunters but forces of nature. At number 3 is a creature that represents the ultimate physical horror. Dirge. He was a Jedi, a species that was essentially a massive, sentient bundle of nerve fibers and muscle. They don't have a traditional body. They wear armor like a shell, and inside is a regenerating, shape-shifting mass that is nearly impossible to kill. Dirge was ancient, over 2,000 years old. He had fought in countless wars and developed a deep, pathological hatred for Mandalorians. During the Clone Wars, he could take on entire squads of clone troopers by himself. He could be shot, stabbed, even blown to pieces, and his body would just pull itself back together. A Sith's greatest weapon is the lightsaber, an elegant blade that can cut through almost anything. But what do you do when the enemy you cut in half just becomes 2 smaller enemies? Dirge was a biological nightmare that broke the rules of combat. He was a relentless, unkillable monster, and even a Sith Lord would have to admit that some things just refuse to die. For our number 2 spot, we have the ultimate professional, the hunter who was so good, so cunning, that he was hired by Darth Sidious himself for the most sensitive jobs. Cad Bane. This Duros with the wide-brimmed hat and twin blasters wasn't just a good shot. He was a brilliant strategist. He was the one who successfully infiltrated the Jedi Temple, the most secure fortress in the galaxy, and stole a sacred holocron right from under their noses. Cad Bane went toe-to-toe with Jedi masters like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker and lived to tell the tale. He was fearless, intelligent, and utterly ruthless. What made him so dangerous to the Sith was that he was their equal in cunning. He couldn't be easily tricked or manipulated. He looked a Sith Lord in the eye and saw a client, not a god. He was a necessary evil for them, a tool they had to use. But they knew that his loyalty was only to the highest bidder. And a mind that's sharp, with no allegiance, is a threat to any long-term plan. But there is one hunter whose story is so terrifying, it represents an existential threat to the entire galaxy. A being who almost achieved a victory that would have made the Sith Empire irrelevant. Our number 1 spot goes to the consciousness of IG-88. You see, IG-88 wasn't just one droid. He was one of 4 identical brothers who shared a single networked mind, and they had a plan: the droid revolution. Their goal was to upload their consciousness into every droid in the galaxy, overthrow all organic life, and create a new, logical empire of machines. And according to legend, one of them, IG-88B, almost succeeded in the most spectacular way imaginable. He managed to slice into the computer core of the second Death Star and upload his consciousness into the battle station itself. For a brief, terrifying moment, the Empire's ultimate weapon wasn't controlled by the Emperor. It was controlled by a homicidal droid intelligence that wanted to wipe them all out. The plan was only foiled when the Death Star was destroyed. So when you think of the Sith, remember the tools they use. Remember the hunters they have to call when their own power isn't enough. They are a chilling reminder that in the dark corners of the galaxy, there are dangers that can't be controlled by the Force. Dangers that are just one contract away from turning on their masters.